In the nascent dawn of the digital age, a new titan emerged from the flickering screens and dial-up tones that defined a generation. Its name echoed across modems and through burgeoning online communities: Yahoo. It was more than a company, it was the internet's first true concierge, a guiding light for millions navigating a bewildering new frontier. Yahoo wasn't just a website, it was a phenomenon, a vibrant, bustling gateway to everything the nascent World Wide Web had to offer, a place where discovery felt limitless and the future was being built in real time. The year is 2002. The internet landscape is a chaotic, exhilarating, and largely untamed frontier, a digital Wild West. Amidst this exhilarating uncertainty, a young company, a scrappy search engine born from academic curiosity and fueled by a singular vision, was making quiet, persistent waves. Its name was Google. Their mission was audacious: to organize the world's information and make it universally accessible and useful. But to Yahoo, the reigning king of the internet, Google was perceived as a minor curiosity, a nascent player, perhaps a footnote in the grand narrative of online dominance. Terry Semel, Yahoo's esteemed CEO, found himself in his plush, wood-paneled Silicon Valley office, a testament to the company's immense success. On the table before him lay a momentous offer: the acquisition of this burgeoning search engine, Google, for a mere $30 million. A sum that, in the harsh light of retrospect, seems almost laughably insignificant. Yet, to Semel and his board, Google represented an unproven venture, a speculative gamble that felt too risky, too uncertain to warrant the expenditure. He harbored different, grander ambitions, focused on Yahoo's existing empire. This was not merely a small oversight or a minor misjudgment, it was a seismic, empire-altering miscalculation, a failure of foresight that would echo for years. The potential of Google was immense, a revolutionary technology poised to redefine the internet, and the price being asked was a genuine pittance. But the intoxicating psychology of established power, the sheer comfort of existing, unparalleled success, had bred a dangerous and pervasive overconfidence within Yahoo's leadership. Why chase a disruptive, unproven unknown when you were already the undisputed king of this digital domain? Google, unburdened by the perceived arrogance and the weight of Yahoo's established dominance, continued its relentless, almost unstoppable ascent. Its search algorithm rapidly became the undisputed gold standard, a marvel of engineering that understood user intent with uncanny precision. Simultaneously, its innovative advertising model evolved into an unprecedented revenue juggernaut, fundamentally reshaping online commerce. The internet, once a chaotic, untamed frontier, was being systematically organized, mapped, and monetized, and Google was undeniably its chief architect. Yahoo, meanwhile, found itself increasingly adrift, its trajectory faltering despite its vast resources. Numerous acquisitions were made, ambitious strategies were formulated and then abruptly shifted, but the original spark of innovation, the relentless drive that defined its early years, seemed to have irrevocably dimmed. The company chased fleeting trends, it acquired competing services in a bid to maintain market share, but it never truly recaptured the pioneering spirit that had made it a global phenomenon. The empire remained vast in scale, but its foundational integrity was visibly cracking under the strain of evolving digital realities. Then came another critical fork in the road, another pivotal moment, a chance to pivot, to acquire the future rather than be overtaken by it. The year is 2006. A nascent social network, still largely a niche phenomenon primarily for college students and young adults, was steadily gaining traction and demonstrating explosive potential. Its name, Facebook. Mark Zuckerberg, a young, driven prodigy with an unshakable belief in his creation, was reportedly ready to consider selling his burgeoning platform. The asking price, $1 billion. A staggering, almost astronomical sum for a company that, at that point, possessed unproven monetization strategies and a user base still largely concentrated within the confines of university campuses. To Yahoo's seasoned leadership, accustomed to different scales of investment and valuation, it felt like an exorbitant, high-stakes gamble. The memory of a Google miss undoubtedly lingered, a cautionary tale, but perhaps not enough to overcome their ingrained risk aversion. Was this another Google situation, a potential revolution they were about to let slip away? Once again, hesitation reigned. Once again, profound doubt clouded judgment. The monumental deal faltered under the weight of internal debate and a perceived lack of immediate ROI, and the offer was ultimately withdrawn. Yahoo, seemingly paralyzed by an acute fear of overpaying for a future they couldn't fully comprehend, let another world-changing opportunity slip irretrievably through its fingers. They saw a risky, unproven investment, not the seismic, fundamental shift in human connection and digital identity that Facebook represented. Facebook, unhindered by Yahoo's cautious approach, exploded onto the global stage. It transcended its college campus origins, rapidly evolving into an all-encompassing, pervasive global phenomenon. Its powerful network effects, its unprecedented reach into the daily lives of billions, fundamentally reshaped how the world communicated, shared information, and consumed digital content. Yahoo, meanwhile, found itself perpetually playing catch-up, desperately trying to build its own social features and replicate successes that were already years ahead. The psychological trap had now fully ensnared Yahoo's strategic thinking. An overwhelming overconfidence, born from the intoxicating memory of past glories and market dominance, had profoundly blinded the company to the revolutionary potential of emerging technologies and platforms. They had fatally mistook the scale of the initial investment required for these new ventures for the true scale of the long-term opportunity they represented. The internet was evolving at an exponential pace, and Yahoo, once the unquestioned leader, was now relegated to watching the future unfold from the sidelines, a spectator in its own industry. The once mighty empire began its slow, inexorable crumble. Acquisitions, once celebrated as strategic growth initiatives, now increasingly appeared as desperate, reactive attempts to cling to fading relevance in a rapidly shifting market. The core business, the foundational search engine and portal that had defined Yahoo, was being systematically outmaneuvered and out-innovated by nimbler, more focused, and more agile competitors. The vast digital kingdom, once unchallenged, was now being dismantled piece by a new generation of digital pioneers. Internally, the vibrant culture that had once fueled Yahoo's meteoric rise began to suffer under the weight of stagnation and uncertainty. Top talent, recognizing the shifting tides and seeking environments that actively nurtured innovation and rewarded bold, forward-thinking vision, began to depart in significant numbers. The infectious energy and relentless drive of Yahoo's early days were gradually replaced by a pervasive sense of inertia, a palpable fear of rocking the established corporate boat. The once leading edge of digital innovation had slowly transformed into a complex, bureaucratic maze, hindering progress. The boardrooms, once arenas of ambitious strategy sessions and visionary planning, increasingly became battlegrounds for damage control and defensive maneuvers. Executives grappled with declining revenues, dwindling market share, and the constant pressure from shareholders to explain the seemingly inexplicable erosion of value. The narrative shifted from growth and innovation to survival and preservation, a stark and painful contrast to the company's dominant past. The very tools that had once built Yahoo now seemed insufficient to steer it through the turbulent digital seas. Meanwhile, the digital landscape continued its relentless evolution, presenting new frontiers and new challenges. Mobile computing emerged not as a niche, but as the primary mode of internet access for billions worldwide. Companies that embraced this shift, that built intuitive, user-friendly mobile experiences, thrived. Yahoo, however, struggled to adapt, its strategies often lagging behind the rapid pace of technological change. Its once dominant portal felt increasingly cumbersome on smaller screens, a relic of a bygone era. The competition intensified not just in search or social media, but in every conceivable digital domain. Advertising dollars shifted towards platforms offering more targeted and measurable results, leaving Yahoo's traditional ad models struggling to compete. The sheer scale and data-driven insights of Google and Facebook created a formidable moat, one that Yahoo found increasingly difficult to breach. They were no longer dictating terms, they were reacting to a market that had moved on. The very definition of the internet company was being rewritten. Companies focused on cloud computing, streaming services, and e-commerce were rising to prominence, each carving out lucrative niches. Yahoo, with its broad, generalist approach, found itself spread too thin, unable to master these specialized domains. The ambition that once fueled its rise now seemed to lead to a diffusion of focus, diluting its impact across too many disparate areas. The internal belief that Yahoo was somehow inherently superior, a belief perhaps cemented by its early dominance, began to erode. This wasn't just about losing market share, it was about losing the narrative, the perception of being the indispensable online hub. Competitors were not just catching up, they were innovating at a pace Yahoo could no longer match, setting new standards for user experience and technological advancement. The repeated inability to capitalize on major opportunities, particularly the pivotal acquisitions of Google and Facebook, became a stark symbol of Yahoo's strategic paralysis. These weren't just missed deals, they were fundamental misjudgments of future market direction and technological trajectory. The psychological inertia had taken root, preventing the bold, decisive action needed to navigate the rapidly evolving digital landscape. By 2015, the writing was undeniably on the wall. Yahoo was a company with immense brand recognition and a vast user base, yet its financial performance and market relevance were in steep decline. The question was no longer if a sale was inevitable, but who would acquire the remnants of this once mighty empire and at what price. The narrative of Yahoo's decline became a cautionary tale whispered in the halls of Silicon Valley. It was a stark reminder that even the most dominant players could falter, that past success was no guarantee of future relevance. The internet, a force of constant disruption, demanded perpetual innovation and a willingness to adapt or perish. In 2016, the inevitable occurred. Verizon Communications announced its acquisition of Yahoo's core internet business for $4.8 billion. While a substantial sum in absolute terms, it was a fraction of Yahoo's peak valuation, a stark testament to the empire's diminished state. The brand that once defined the internet was being absorbed, its components scattered. The founders, Jerry Yang and David Filo, who had once envisioned Yahoo as the central nervous system of the internet, saw their creation transformed. The dream of an independent digital powerhouse had dissolved, replaced by the reality of integration into a telecommunications giant. Their initial vision, once so clear and revolutionary, had been lost in the complex currents of corporate strategy and market evolution. What went wrong? Was it a single, catastrophic decision, or a series of missed opportunities, a slow erosion of vision? The truth, as often is the case, lies in a complex interplay of factors, market shifts, fierce competition, and crucially, the internal psychology of a company that had achieved immense success and then struggled to adapt to a world that refused to stand still. The story of Yahoo is a potent reminder that in the relentless pursuit of growth and innovation, clinging to past glories can be a fatal strategy. The digital frontier demands constant reinvention, a willingness to challenge established paradigms, and a keen eye for the disruptive forces that shape the future. Complacency, even for the most dominant, is a specter that forever haunts the landscape of ambition. The $30 million offer for Google. The $1 billion offer for Facebook. These weren't just numbers, they were hinges upon which the future of the internet, and Yahoo's place within it, could have swung dramatically. A different decision, a bolder vision, might have led to a Yahoo that continued to innovate and lead, shaping the digital world for decades to come. But history, as it often does, followed a different course. The empire built on connecting the world ultimately succumbed to its own inability to adapt to the ever-changing ways people wanted to connect. Yahoo's story is a powerful testament to the volatile nature of the digital age and the critical importance of embracing change, even when it seems uncomfortable or risks are high. If you found yourself in Terry Semmel's shoes with that $30 million Google offer, would you have taken the gamble? Let me know what you think in the comments. And if you want to see more of these deep dives into the psychology of ambition and ruin, hit that like button and subscribe.